Hey y'all, it's Alex from You Should Craft, and today I'll show you how to crochet the double crochet stitch. So this one is taller than half double crochets, but you do start it off very similarly. If you're watching and you're part of my Newbie Series, sweet. If you're not, you can sign up in the description below. I can teach you how to crochet. I'll be sending out beginner patterns. It's 30 days long and it's pretty sweet. But anyway, for materials for double crochet, like any of our standard stitches, it doesn't matter what hook and what yarn you use as long as they match each other. So for this swatch, I used a worsted weight acrylic yarn. This is Brava by We Crochet. The color is Lady Slipper. And then I used a J 6mm crochet hook. This is on the larger side for worsted weight yarn, which means that it's easier to crochet with and it also gives you a good amount of stretch in your projects. So, all right, let's get going with double crocheting. So you start off with your slip knot like usual, and then set up your hook and your yarn. Again, just however you have found is the most comfortable. So we're just going to make a swatch. It doesn't matter how many chains are in your swatch. Just keep in mind that however many you chain, you will have 2 double crochets less than that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I find that like 14 or 15 is kind of the sweet spot for a crochet swatch just to practice. This was a chain of 15, so that means I have 13 double crochets, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just, for me, it's kind of the best size to see what you're working on. But all right, so to crochet a double crochet, you will yarn over and you'll skip 2 chains this time. So with single crochets and half double crochets, we only skip 1, but double crochets are taller, so we need a longer turning chain. So skip, skip, and then I'm going to double crochet in the 3rd chain from my hook. So if you saw that written in a pattern, double crochet would be abbreviated as DC. And it would say DC in 3rd chain or CH from hook. Another thing to keep in mind is that if you're following a stitch chart, double crochets are represented by like a T with a line through it. So, all right, I did my first double crochet, but let me show you how to do it super slow. So I yarn over, I insert my hook into the back bump of my chain. Technically, it doesn't matter where you go into your chain. I just like the back bump the best. Then I yarn over again. I pull through that first loop, so it's starting off just like a half double. But now I yarn over and I only pull through 2 loops. So here's where it's different from that half double crochet. And now I yarn over again and pull through the last 2 loops. All right, so yarn over, insert hook into the back bump, yarn over it, pull up 1 loop, yarn over it, pull through 2 loops, yarn over it and pull through the last 2 loops. So that extra step is what makes it longer than a half double crochet. So again, I've yarned over and inserted my hook, yarning over, pulling up a loop, yarning over, pulling up 2 loops, yarning over and pulling through those last 2 loops. So yarn over, insert your hook. Of course, I got this like really tight chain. All right, so yarn over, insert hook, yarn over, pull up 1 loop, yarn over, pull up 2 loops, yarn over, pull up the last 2, or pull through, whatever you want to say. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up the first loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through those last 2 loops. So you can start to see what these are looking like. With worsted weight yarn and our J hooks, these double crochets are pretty close to 1 inch high. They would be smaller if you were using a thinner weight yarn, and they would be larger if you were using like a chunky yarn. But worsted weight is a really great beginner weight of yarn because it's kind of, it's just in the middle. And it's readily available. Like most craft store yarns are worsted weight. So I've got like 2 left in this row. So I'm just finishing up, pulling out more yarn to use. So here's my last stitch. I'll yarn over, insert my hook into that back bump, yarn over, pull up 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull up that last, or pull through those last 2. So here's row 1 of my double crochets. And so when we count, this is another thing to keep in mind. Some patterns count the turning chain as a stitch. So watch for that when you're reading patterns. Some count it and some do not. And there's really like no right way to crochet. So some of you may find that you can get straighter edges if you count the turning chain. Others of you might find that that creates kind of a hole in your work. It's really a personal preference thing. So again, like, see what the pattern tells you to do. So for this, I'm not counting this. So we can ignore this, our turning chain. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I chained 15. I'm ignoring those chain 2. And then I've got 13 stitches. So now we're going to turn. So for our single crochet and our half double crochet, we only chained 1, but again, these are taller stitches. So we need to chain 2 and then turn our work, and we're just going to do the same thing the other direction. So yarn over, insert your hook. Since I'm not counting my turning chain, I go into the very first stitch. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through those last 2 loops. So you can just continue practicing your double crochets for technically forever or until you run out of yarn, or ideally just until you feel pretty comfortable doing them. And so you'll just chain 2 and turn when you get to the end of a row, and that'll set you up for your next row. So that's it. Eventually you'll have a larger size swatch, or you could make, I guess if you just did this for a long time, you could have kind of a skinny scarf or something. And you can see a little bit where I had these turning chains. And depending on how loose you crochet your chains, that can affect how straight your edges are. So if you have really loose chains, you could end up with kind of like a bump out here, like something like this, where it's really, I don't know, just where it's loose and you can tell. But just try to kind of practice with this and figure out which way works best for you. But thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the Newbie Series and the You Should Craft channel for more tutorials and fun patterns. But thanks for watching.